Going live. Welcome to the Out There channel. Live stream 172. We'll be looking at a couple of old UFO cases. Robert will be presenting it. And I'll just cue the intro. Be with you in a minute. Go on, Paul. Get your fingers going. Okay, the music's going. You won't be able to hear it, Robert. You still there? I didn't hear you reply. Hello.
Yeah, I could hear the intro.
Hang on. So, good to be back with another live stream. It's nearing 11:15 PM here in New Zealand. And it's probably just after lunchtime UK. So I'll just pause that. And God knows what time it is in America. It's probably early in the morning. And there's Robert up at the corner. You there, Robert?
Yes.
Cool. Just wonder if you're cutting out or not. So you want to introduce yourself, Robert from Wales or whatever?
Yeah.
And what cases you got to do?
Call it from the UK. Make things simpler.
Yeah. Well, often confuses third phase of the moon, right? What was they got Wales mixed up with UK and Australia. What is it?
Yeah, New South Wales.
Yeah. So yeah, he's not on that island, but a different one. I just wonder if you're cutting out there on the end of sentences. Well, we'll see how we go. I think I got everything paused there. What two cases will you be doing?
Okay, the first one would be Washington, 1952. Yeah, UFOs over Washington.
Yep.
Over the White House, even. And then would be covering Colares, 1977, Colares Brazil.
Right. Hopefully he's not crackling. If anyone's on the side chat listening, just see that it's not crackling when he talks, because I need to lower the volume, otherwise it's a bit hard to check everything here. I need another separate PC. So yeah, we got a map of Washington DC where the incident happened in the 1950s or 1952, and why is it not zooming in? There you go, United States. There on the west coast. Britain's over this way. United Kingdom, that's where Robert is, over here. So zoom into the capital here. Oh. So there's Washington. I assume it's in a very dense populated area there, right? So do you know how many people actually saw the UFOs since it's so densely populated there?
Yeah, apparently it was thousands.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just expand that a bit. Go to satellite. So can we see the capital from here? Looks pretty busy there, doesn't it?
actually over the Capitol building,
Capitol
the
building.
White House. I'm even seeing over the Pentagon, so they were all over.
Well, I'm looking for a White House here. We're still learning where everything is on the Google Maps. National Mall, Capitol Hill. So it'd be down here, would it?
Could be.
Do you know? The White House is up here, it reckons. Was it over the White House, was it?
Yeah.
Why can't I see it now? I zoomed into it. White House, White House. I got too much on the screen. White House here. It's got a fancy bit. Oh yeah, here we go. There's the White House. Oh yeah, we recognise that now from the top. I suppose we need a street view. But that wasn't where it was though, was it?
Yeah, it was all over those areas, yeah. It was all over Washington, Paul. It wasn't just that. It wasn't isolated, you know.
I think the picture that we've seen, the fake pictures of it, were this building here, wasn't it? The District of Columbia.
Building. Yeah.
Yeah. So, can we get to the lawn? Oh yeah, we can too. Look at that. We dropped there. I thought it might be censored. So it must be going this way then. They've got a lot of dense trees there. Where's the building gone? Must be over here. So Google must have got permission to drive the car around. Well, we're just waiting for people to join us at the moment. I suppose I should type the episode up. Why can't I see the building? It must be here. There it is. Way in the distance. I didn't think I was that far away from it. So if UFOs flew over the top right, that was sending the message to the American government for sure, wouldn't it?
Possibly.
Saying that they can...
Truman was the president at the time, and he was quite upset about it. And that's when the shoot-down order began in 1952 after this incident.
Yep. Just means that we don't protect the airspace. They can come in and out whenever they want to. Yeah. Still can't see it. It's quite big trees there. We need to go out on the lawn a wee bit. Shame you can't... it's a shame...
You use at ground level. You need an overhead view, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I would just stick with that.
That's good enough, isn't
Yeah.
it?
What I was thinking is what Google need to do is expand it to drone height. So you're off the ground and you can go anywhere. That would be really cool. Because you get the right perspective then. Welcome to the Out There channel. Well, so far no one's joined us, so I don't know if we'll wait, we'll just carry on without people, or... I thought there might be a few joining us. Like last time, we had, 6? Why can't I see that? It's all spelt wrong too. Okay, we'll kick it off in a minute. My stream 172. There we go. Oh, I should have seen. I called it when UFOs attack, and now I've got hiccups. Okay, there we go. So, was there any first links that we want to post that you want to read out or anything?
Oh no, not really. Yes, there's 2 separate incidents here. You see, the Saturday, the 19th of July, and then they came back on the 26th. It was a week Saturday.
Okay. So you ain't got...
The objects were picked up by Washington Airport. That's the commercial airport. And they were also picked up by the Air Force Base, Andrews Air Force Base. They were informed, and they managed to pick up the UFOs on their radar as well. So there's multiple radar involved. Washington Airport, first start, they had two separate radar, one close range and one long range. And all radars picked up these objects.
How many objects was it?
Generally, it's reported as 6 to 8.
And yet, thousands of people witnessed it and no one took a photograph. There's no photographic evidence and no videos.
There's no good ones.
No good ones. They had like the only cameras they had back then was what is it, 8mm or 16mm?
No.
Camera.
I'll have the link for you there for an introduction. You ready?
Yeah. So this is the kind of cameras they had back in 1952. Still, you think someone might have got something. That looks like a early wind-up film, 8mm.
I mean, the lowest they came was about 7,000-8,000 feet, I think. So, Paula, you're not going to get much of a picture.
Well, we don't get much of
zoom lens.
Yeah, we don't get much of a picture with our smartphones, do we? So, is this public? Maybe that's a problem. Maybe I didn't make it public. I should have done. It should be though. Hang on, let me just check this out. I would have thought someone would have shown up by now. We had a wee bit of trouble with the audio before. Let's have a look. See if it's playing back alright. One watching. So, is this public? Maybe that's a problem. Maybe I didn't make it public. I should have done. It should be though. It should say
let me just
public somewhere, shouldn't it? I would have thought someone would have shown up by now. Can you talk so we can hear you on the audio before? Let's have a look.
Oh, Paul.
See if it's playing back alright. One watching. So, is this public? Maybe that's a problem. Maybe I didn't make it public. It seems to be going around in a circle, doesn't it? It should say let me just public somewhere, shouldn't it? Yeah, it's not a very good way to test it. I sound alright. I always sound alright though. I think it's public. It would say unlisted otherwise, I think. Okay.
I don't know, watching's gone up one anyway, Paul, so I don't really know.
Maybe there is people out there. Maybe it is working. Okay, so that's the type of the cameras. So you can see that's not going to be much good for low light. So that's probably why no one got any pictures. Mind you, how long did they see the things fly over the Capitol? A few seconds?
No, I mean, there's several minutes, I believe. But they were moving quite quickly as well. At times they were loping around at like between 100 miles and 100 miles per hour and 150 miles per hour, then shooting off at ridiculous speeds. They were clocked at one point at 7,200 mph.
Yep. So there was no videos taken, and those ones that people put up on TV and all that, saying actual evidence. Or actually...
Yeah, that's a CGI over the government building. That one, yeah.
It's doing that studio thing again. That's weird. Why does it do that? Seems to put studio in front of your post link. It doesn't make any sense. I don't want studio. It's like it's trying to be too...
Probably sorted it out before.
No, yeah, I had to delete the front that it puts on. Oh, that's just stupid, isn't it?
Welcome to Open Minds.
Okay. Go to 2 minutes and 30 seconds, Paul. You don't need to play it from the start.
I think that was going through the right direction there. Hang on, let me just check. Yep, okay.
Magazine.
Minutes.
Defense UFO.
Nick Pope. 2 minutes and what?
2 minutes 30 seconds.
Okay, 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's good enough. Yeah.
Okay, closed captions on. We'll leave it into a small window for now, and we'll speed it up a wee bit. Okay. So this is going to give us an overview of the 1952 Washington DC UFO incident.
And indeed concern to people at the highest levels in both government and the Air Force.
Often people say they will not believe in UFOs until they land on the White House lawn. Well, one of the most famous and mysterious Blue Book cases came close. UFO sightings over Washington, D.C. in July 1952 made worldwide headlines and left the U.S. Air Force dazed and confused. The event spanned several days and included multiple radar identifications of unknown craft, some of which were correlated by witnesses on the ground. Many of the sightings caused the Air Force to scramble jet fighters, and in each of these cases, the UFOs outmaneuvered the jets. This all culminated into what may be the most important official U.S. Air Force UFO investigation of all time.
The sightings over Washington, D.C. in July 1952 were extraordinarily important for two reasons. Firstly, they were significant sightings in and of themselves. They were being seen by Air Force personnel, they were being tracked on radar, military jets were being vectored to take a closer look at this. But the second angle is the geopolitical one. Up until this point, I think it was easy for people to write this off, this whole phenomenon, as something of a curiosity. These things are seen perhaps in remote areas, predominantly in the southwestern United States. It's easy to kid yourself perhaps that it's some sort of secret prototype aircraft or missile that another part of the government is testing. But when you bring it to the heart of government, when you literally have these events taking place over the White House, over the Capitol building, it puts the whole thing center stage. This can no longer be ignored, and it wasn't.
The U.S. Air Force's investigation of the events in Washington, D.C. is best explained in a book written by the lead investigator, Captain Edward Ruppelt. Ruppelt, who was the head of the U.S. Air Force's official UFO investigation department, Project Blue Book, from its inception in early 1952 until late 1953, published the Report on Unidentified Flying Objects in 1956. The summer of 1952 was a busy time for the Blue Book investigators. Ruppelt referred to this period as the Big Flap, with some of the most credible reports coming from the Washington, D.C. area. On July 10th, a National Airlines crew reported a UFO over nearby Quantico, Virginia. They described the object as too bright to be a lighted balloon and too slow to be a big meteor. Then on July 13th, another commercial airline crew reported a UFO 60 miles southwest of Washington, D.C. The crew was flying at 100,000 feet when they spotted a light below them. The object came up to their level, and when they turned on their headlights, it shot up in a steep climb. The next day, on July 14th, yet another commercial airline crew reported a UFO. This time, it was during a flight from New York to Miami. While flying in the area of Newport News, Virginia, approximately 130 miles south of Washington, D.C., the crew reported seeing 8 UFOs. 2 days later, on the night of July 16th at around 9 p.m., a high-ranking scientist from the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics Laboratory at Langley Air Force Base reported seeing a UFO with a friend. They were standing near the ocean when they saw 2 amber-colored lights off to their right. The lights were silently moving to the north. The scientist said they were much too large to be aircraft lights. Ruppelt and his investigators had decided that this object would have been too big to be a plane given the description of the lights, and they could not find an answer as to what the scientist and his friend had seen. Ruppelt said it was a moot point, however, because the scientist was a very famous aerodynamicist and of such professional stature that if he said the lights weren't airplanes, they weren't. On July 20th, Ruppelt flew to Washington, D.C. on unrelated business. He landed at Washington National Airport and he grabbed a newspaper to catch up on the latest news. Ruppelt immediately called his superior officer at the Pentagon, Major Dewey Fournay, who told Ruppelt that there was an investigation happening at Bolling Air Force Base. Ruppelt headed there and received a briefing from the intelligence officer. At the meeting, they learned that at 11:40 p.m. the previous night, 7 objects were caught on radar at Washington National Airport. At first, the radar operators thought the objects were a formation of planes, but nothing like that was scheduled. The objects moved slowly at 100 to 130 miles per hour, but then would streak across the scope in sudden bursts of speed. The targets had moved all over the area, including over prohibited areas, such as the airspace over the White House and the U.S. Capitol building. One of the objects was clocked at speeds of more than 7,000 miles per hour. The targets appeared to have flown near commercial airliners, and soon thereafter, pilots were reporting strange lights. The first sighting from a pilot was from a Capital Airlines flight leaving Washington National Airport. The control tower asked the pilots of that plane to keep an eye out for strange lights. During the flight, the pilot yelled, "There's one off to the right, and there it goes." The radar correlated that an object had been tracked on the plane's right side. The pilot reported seeing 6 more lights in the next 15 minutes. Several similar incidents took place that night. However, one of the most notable incidents was when the Washington National Airport traffic controller called the Andrews Air Force Base tower to tell them they were tracking an object south of the base. The tower operators looked out of their windows to see what they described as a huge fiery orange sphere hovering in the sky. At the beginning of the excitement, once the Washington National Airport radar operators had determined their equipment was working properly, they began calling the Air Force to ask them to investigate. However, they didn't receive a response. They called over and over, but the Air Force didn't respond until daybreak the next morning. One interceptor checked out the area, but by then the UFOs were gone. The event and the subsequent press coverage sent the U.S. Air Force into a state of pure confusion, complicated by bureaucratic bumbling. It was decided that Ruppelt would stay in Washington, D.C. to further investigate and formulate a response for the press, who was growing steadily impatient with the Air Force's official no-comment response. However, the Air Force Finance Department would not approve the extension to his stay and sent him home. Back in his office in Dayton, Ohio, Ruppelt says he was too swamped with other UFO sightings to investigate the Washington, D.C. incident. Several of these sightings also included jets being scrambled to check out the UFOs. Then, exactly 1 week after the first major Washington, D.C. event at about 10 p.m., Ruppelt received a call from Life magazine's UFO expert asking what the Air Force was going to do about that night's UFOs. Ruppelt said, "I have no idea what the Air Force is doing. In all probability, it's doing nothing." He hadn't heard anything about a new UFO event and guessed no one else in the Air Force had either. He called Air Force Intelligence and the Pentagon and found out he was correct. Several people from the Pentagon hurried out to Washington National Airport, including the Air Force's press chief Al Chop, Major Fournet, and a U.S. Navy electronics specialist assigned to the U.S. Air Force Directorate of Intelligence. All of them had a front row seat to the evening's spectacular performance. Ruppelt had to wait until 5 a.m. the next morning to hear what took place. He was told at about 10:30 p.m. that Washington National Airport had once again picked up the slow-moving targets. The objects were in an arc surrounding the Washington, D.C. area. The objects spanned from Herndon, Virginia to Andrews Air Force Base. The same radar...
Okay, so let's put that on the map there, because we don't want to use too much of their footage. Are you there, Robert?
Okay. Yes.
I just want to check if I can hear you.
Bob.
What was the locations? Herndon, Virginia.
Andrews Air Force Base, yeah.
I'm not very good remembering how to spell it from the video. Is it H?
No, you don't need to worry about that. It's just Andrews Air Force Base that you need to be concerned about, Paul.
No, I just want to put those two locations in where it was saying Virginia to... Well, we'll just put that in first. And then you want to go to the other location, Andrews Air Force Base. Where's it gone?
Still there to this day. It's been there since 1945, still there to this day. We haven't even changed the name of it.
So does it map where it is? So here we go. West Washington, though. So they saw it between... That doesn't look... is that Andrews Base? Joint Base,
yeah.
Andrews.
Yeah.
So they saw it from Herndon to there. So what was he saying? Air Force Base, the same radar. So that was the second sighting, was it?
Spanned from Herndon, Virginia to Andrews Air Force Base. The same radar operators were present from the prior event, so they were prepared and were quickly to mark and track the UFOs. They contacted Andrews Air Force Base, who confirmed they were also picking up the objects. At 11:30 p.m., it was decided to call in interceptors to check out the objects. Again, they were slow to respond, but 2 Lockheed F-94 Starfires were in the air by midnight. At this point, reporters and photographers were asked to leave the radar room. Ruppelt says the radar room was cleared because some of the Air Force officers thought this might be the night they got a good up-close look at a UFO. Visibility that night was good. However, when the jets approached the targets, the objects disappeared from the radar screens. The jets returned to their base. However, a few minutes later, strange lights were seen near Langley Air Force Base. The lights were described as rotating and giving off alternating colors. The radar tower operators also saw the lights, so they called in an F-94 jet to check it out. The jet pilot spotted the UFO's lights and began moving towards it when the light disappeared. The pilot continued to fly around the area and achieved a radar lock on the object, but whatever it was sped away. The same thing.
So where's Langley Air Force Base? Obviously it's a different location again, right? So it's further up from Washington DC then. Where's Washington DC again? Oh, what's going on there? So we want Langley now, don't we? Langley. Is that Langley? Here we go. Air Force Base, Virginia again. So how far away was that one then from the other place? What was it? Andrews to Andrews. Why would the UFOs be travelling around all these Air Force bases though? Where's Andrews Air Force Base? There we go. So where's the 2 locations? So not too far away then. Langley, it's near the coast, and Andrews base is up here at Washington. Okay, so now we've got a rough idea what they're talking about. And what type of planes did they say they were?
F-94Cs they were, at a top speed of 600 mph.
Right, so the UFOs outpaced them then.
Oh yes,
happened
they
2
were
more
approached,
times.
yeah. But they made no visual contact on the first sighting on the 19th, yeah. But on the 26th they did.
Right.
And they got quite close. They could have radar lock everything.
Soon after the events near Langley Air Force Base, objects were again observed above Washington National Airport. Jets were scrambled again, but this time the objects stayed on radar as the jets approached. The tower controllers gave the jets the coordinates of the objects, but each time a jet closed in on the objects, they would speed away. This interaction continued for a few more minutes until one object did not speed off. The F-94 pilot saw a bright light and hit his afterburners to pursue the object. However, as he got closer, the light just disappeared, and he could not get anything on his radar set. The jet stayed in the area for 20 minutes, but finally ran low on fuel and had to return to the base. Dawn began to break, and soon the targets all disappeared. The next day, the press reported that fighter pilot Lieutenant William Patterson said, "I tried to make contact with the bogies below 1,000 feet, but the radar controllers vectored us around. I saw several bright lights. I was at my maximum speed, but even then I had no closing speed. I ceased chasing them because I saw no chance of overtaking them. I was vectored into new objects. Later, I chased a single bright light, which I estimated about 10 miles away. I lost visual contact with it about 2 miles. Ruppelt was informed that everybody in the radar room was convinced that the targets were very probably caused by solid metallic objects. There had been weather targets on the scope too, he said, but these were common to the Washington area and the controllers were paying no attention to them. The papers were once again packed with headlines about the UFO chase. Ruppelt flew to Washington, and when he got to his hotel, he was mobbed by reporters and photographers. With the help of a colleague, he pushed his way to an elevator without making any comments. According to Ruppelt, the U.S. Air Force was in a state of confusion. They all agreed that the UFO event should be investigated, but no one actually did anything about it. Unable to dodge the public's fascination with the Washington events, on July 29th, Major General Samford notified the press that he would have a press conference on the Washington UFO incidents. Ruppelt felt it a bit odd that none of the men in the radar room at Washington National Airport were involved in the press conference. Instead, the press conference was held by Major General Samford and another officer, neither of whom had been fully briefed.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
You gotta stop it
Air
there,
Force
Paul.
interest.
Yeah, that's the one Secure Ting just put up not long ago, wasn't it?
I don't know about that, but
Yeah, he did.
it's quite an important press conference, this, you know. I'll tell you why. Hold on, I'm just going to leave a link for you there, okay? Now, the key person in this is Edward Ruppelt. He called the whole incident, these are his words now, a monumental foul-up. The press, now, the media were pushing for an answer, but all they could do is no comments because they hadn't gathered all details of the case. And it's hardly a surprise because Ruppelt, now being, you know, the America's chief investigator, he was at the Pentagon. This is the day after the first sighting. Okay, now he needs transport. He wants to get to the Washington base, the Andrews Air Force base, and the Washington commercial base. So he needs transport. And he finds out he's not entitled to a staff car because he's not high enough rank. He was only a captain, you see, and it was like generals only. So he tries to hire a car. Then he's told that he can't get expenses to hire the car. So he's told to take a bus, and he doesn't know the bus routes. So then he's told, well, you'll have to get a taxi. He couldn't afford a taxi. So this is a total fiasco. So in the end, he ends up returning to Dayton, Ohio, where Blue Book was based.
Yeah.
And had to take all the information in on phone calls. So when it comes to that press conference, which is over 2 weeks later, I think on the 21st of July, was it? Yeah, 21st of July, I think that press conference was held. They didn't have a clue what to say.
Mm-hmm.
And if you play that now, I've left you the link.
Do we need to
You'll
close,
see what kind of...
do we need to close the other link?
Yes, if you want.
We finished with that one?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to play this one now. Normal. Just speed it up a wee bit. Is this this must be public domain by now. US National Archives, yep.
I think you'll have any concerns playing that one.
Hopefully not. Copyright goes for many years though. So what's this thing above him here? I can hear the hiss. Is it loud?
Notice there the obligatory flying saucer hanging from the ceiling just to add a little bit of humour.
Yeah, that's what I just said. To make a mockery of it.
Yeah.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers. The Air Force interest in this problem has been due to our feeling of an obligation to identify and analyze to the best of our ability anything in the air that may have the possibility of threat or menace to the United States. In pursuit of this obligation, since 1947, we have received and analyzed between 1,000 and 2,000 reports that have come to us from all kinds of sources. Of this great mass of reports, we have been able adequately to explain the great bulk of them, explain them to our own satisfaction. We've been able to explain them as hoaxes, as erroneously identified friendly aircraft, as meteorological or electronic phenomena, or as light aberrations. However, there have been a certain percentage of this volume of reports that have been made by credible observers of relatively incredible things. It is this group of observations that we now are attempting to resolve. Our basic difficulty in dealing with these is that there is no measurement of them that makes it possible for us to put them in any pattern that would be profitable for a deliberate, custom sort of analysis to take the next step. We have, as of date, come to only one firm conclusion with respect to this remaining percentage, and that is that it does not contain any pattern of purpose or of consistency that we can relate with to any conceivable threat to the United States. Is that? We can say that the recent sightings are in no way connected with any secret development by any department of the United States.
This is clearly the unedited version. He looks a wee bit. He looks a bit frustrated.
I'll tell you why. He had a consultation with Ruppelt. So Ruppelt's the head of Blue Book, yes?
Mm-hmm.
At the time, between 1952, early 1952, and late 1953, I think. And he actually spoke to Sanford, General Sanford. This is the guy we're looking at now. And he didn't know. He thought this was all going to go pear-shaped, because he didn't have the information. You know, what have we heard so far about the sightings over Washington? Nothing. He's just using a blanket statement to cover everything, isn't he?
Mm.
Go on, keep playing it.
Yeah.
We can say that the recent sightings are in no way connected with any secret development by any agency of the United States.
On a keyhole.
I'll start when you throw it down.
He's anything but a skeptic.
Yeah. Major Keyhole, as author of the book Flying Saucers Are Real, what is your opinion of these new sightings of unidentified objects?
With all due respect to the Air Force, I believe that some of them will prove to be of interplanetary origin. During a 3-year investigation, I found that many pilots have described objects of substance and high speed. One case, pilots reported their plane was buffeted by an object which passed them at 500 miles an hour. Obviously, this was a solid object, and I believe it was from outer space.
Doesn't sound a skeptic there.
Not a skeptic.
Oh, he's not. I thought you said he was.
No.
So,
No, God, no.
All flying saucers. The Air Force interest in this problem has been due to our feeling of an obligation to identify and analyze to the best of our ability anything in the air that may have the possibility of threat or menace to the United States.
See, that statement there sounds very similar to ATIP one, the Navy thing that came out, wasn't it?
The new Navy protocol.
Yeah, the new Navy thing to assess
Guidelines,
any threat.
yeah.
So it's just repeating history. It's like taking on another, what's it, 60-odd years for it to repeat again?
I know.
It's like a movie that gets rebooted, right? It's a reboot.
Yep.
Yep, so we're pretty much done with this one. I thought I'd just play a wee bit of that front thing just to make a comment on it. Anything else you want to add there? So Keyhole, he said he thought there was a real craft.
Yeah, Kehoe was head of NICAP. He was the chief director at NICAP for years.
Now, they said there was weather inversion that was explained, debunked, wasn't it?
Yeah, temperature inversion, yeah. But that was torn to pieces.
Radar
Later on.
temperature. Inversion. I don't know if we got any information on it.
You do.
You do.
So it's a hot and cold layer. That's all it is, basically, which can give off false readings.
Yeah, but we're talking about radar signals, so just seeing if there's any technical hubbub on it. In ground radar clutter. So that means buildings. So the signal reflects back off buildings. It doesn't really say much here, does it? It's just a little blah 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 blah. I thought there might be a nice little chart that shows you image of the radar, how it scatters and creates false images. That's basically it, I think. What's this one? Different layers. That might be one. Radar blooms. Talking about different temperatures here. Here we go. It creates an inversion. So basically the signal bounces back. The radio signal bounces back there. And then also you get bounce back off the ground as well. So yeah, I suppose it reflects back off the water molecules in the air. What if we
Pick up on lights on the ground as well and give a false reading.
But yeah, I don't think it'd go swimming past the aircraft with it in the sky and create a
of course not.
Create a wave of stuff, you know. What's this coming up?
Blue Book even ruled out temperature inversion in the end. It went down as an unknown in the files.
Anomalous propagation. What's that one? Super fractions. So there's all sorts of misreadings ducked in. Temperature inversions.
You know, I believe an experienced radar controller can really tell these things apart quite easily, you know. Because the signals aren't like solid returns, they fluctuate, and you know.
I think they're sharp as red, don't they, on the scope or something. I can't remember something like that. I think Mick West did a good explanation about how they work. But yeah. What's that one there? What's that one? I think it shows up as there's one here. Shows up as red on the radar and then disappears. But also you can pick up a swarm of birds, right? So there's all sorts of things that go wrong with radar. And especially the different wavelengths. That's why they got different radars with different wavelengths. So the normal airport one looks for bigger objects than the weather one that looks for water suspension droplets in the air, right? Crystals and all that.
Yeah.
So
interesting stuff, actually, you know. Now it's been responsible for a few sightings.
Yeah. So we're done with him now. 1952 UFO Flap debunk. So did you get any debunk links on it? Apart from the radar one?
Yeah, they weren't very good.
I thought there might be a list of suggestions. I suppose the Wikipedia's got a few. Events of July 19th. Where's the other? Oh, right, it's over 2 days. Was it 19th and the 20th, was it?
19th and the 26th. Both on a Saturday night.
Oh, right, this is the 26th one. I thought...
weekend entertainment.
Yeah. Why did they come back twice? That's kind of strange.
Yeah.
So, I suppose it's in that right in there. Robertson panel.
Oh, yeah. That was the CIA then. CIA van program, that.
Yeah, it says there, CIA. Do we need to read out any of that? Let's kick it in and make sure it works first.
Had to say about it.
The Robertson pain.
Pain.
They were pain as well.
Yeah, let's see what it says here.
The Robertson Panel. Edit. The extremely high numbers of UFO reports in 1952 disturbed both the Air Force and the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA. Both groups felt that an enemy nation could deliberately flood the US with false UFO reports, causing mass panic and allowing them to launch a sneak attack. On September 24, 1952, the CIA's Office of Scientific Intelligence, OSI, sent a memorandum to Walter B. Smith, the CIA's director. The memo stated that the flying saucer situation has national security implications in the public concern with the phenomena. Lies the potential for the touching off of mass hysteria and panic. 28. The result of this memorandum was the creation in January 1953 of the Robertson Panel. Dr. Howard P. Robertson, a physicist, chaired the panel, which consisted of prominent scientists and which spent 4 days examining the best UFO cases collected by Project Blue Book. The panel dismissed nearly all of the UFO cases it examined as not representing anything unusual or threatening to national security. In the panel's controversial estimate, the Air Force and Project Blue Book needed to spend less time analyzing and studying UFO reports and more time publicly debunking them. The panel recommended that the Air Force and Project Blue Book should take steps to strip the unidentified flying objects of the special status they have been given and the aura of mystery they have unfortunately acquired. 34. Following the panel's recommendation, Project Blue Book would rarely publicize any UFO case that it had not labeled as solved. Unsolved cases were rarely mentioned by the Air Force.
So that's all that blurb read out. It did a fairly good. It did a fairly good job.
You can see the tone of concern there, can't you?
Mm.
Wouldn't have launched that inquiry, that Robertson panel, if they weren't seriously concerned. Very interesting period in UFO history.
Yep. Certainly a lot of reading there.
Oh, yes.
What we got?
There's never been a really good skeptical explanation for what happened in 1952, you know.
All right. Did they get any people to draw drawings of what they saw?
Not as far as I know, but according to Ruppelt, I've got his book here, and I read over the chapter, you know, for this one today, and you know, of the Washington Lights, and he was saying that some of the pilots were made to change their mind. He was absolutely convinced of it, and so were some of the radar technicians as well. They were persuaded to make contradicting statements to their original, you know.
So we got Gaia here.
Tried to make it go away.
We got Gaia stuff here saying it's explained. Okay, so what are they saying? 2 of the objects clearly hovered over the White House. I thought it flew over, not hovered. With another one over another one over the Capitol controllers at both airports, which they estimated to be traveling at about 130 miles per hour. That's pretty slow, though, isn't it?
It's too slow.
When
fall out the sky.
Yeah, probably with planes. They suddenly disappeared from the radar screen. So that's where the weather inversion bit comes into it. And anything else here that we may have missed? An airline captain, Pearman, was waiting on the tarmac. DC-4, National Airport for authorization. He saw 6 objects moving about the sky over a 14-minute period. Wow. That's quite a long period to see UFOs. That's almost like the A-tip videos they have. They got something like that. The Tic Tac one's meant to be 10 minutes long, apparently. And I think we've only got about 3 minutes of it or something. So, yeah, we're still waiting for them to produce the goods. A blip appeared, radar screen at 5:30 a.m. Well, that's half the problem. Most of the people would still be sleeping, surely, in the capital. I suppose,
of course they would, yeah.
Yeah, House Million.
That's the 20th of July, you see. So that's actually, that's after the original sighting, but on the 19th and between the 26th. So you can see the slight over Washington thing. It wasn't isolated. It wasn't an isolated case at all. It was what they call a flap.
Oh, here we go.
Ufology.
I'll just read out this bit here. Was there any more that you wanted to add to the case? But here's some explanations here.
A little bit, yeah. Carry on with that. I'll just add some at the end.
Alright, I'll just read out that whole section there. If I can get it to stop right. Official Air Force explanation. Here we go.
Official Air Force explanation on July the 29th, 1952. Air Force Major Generals John Samford, Director of Intelligence, and Roger Ramsey, Director of Operations, held the largest press conference of any since the end of World War II.
Alright.
The official explanation of the July UFO sightings was that the objects were misidentified aerial phenomena, which could mean they were stars or meteors. The blips on the radar were due to temperature inversions. Samford also said that since the radar blips were not caused by any solid material, there was no threat to national security. He explained that when a weather inversion occurs, lights that are really on the ground may look like they are in the air, and this caused the radar to misreport ground objects being in the sky. The explanation was not well received. Ruppelt, from Project Blue Book, noted that during the months of June, July and August in Washington, D.C., hardly a night passed where there wasn't a temperature inversion and there were not routine UFO sightings on the radar. All air traffic controller involved stated that even if the weather could cause a blip on the radar, it would be as a straight line and would not appear as lights. In 1969, a scientific report released by the Air Force concluded that a temperature inversion strong enough to create the effect attributed to it by General Samford could not possibly occur in the Earth's atmosphere. Even so, more than 50 years later, most people still accept the temperature inversion explanation.
Okay. And Robertson panel we just read out before.
Do you know what? You know when you mentioned that, it said Roger Ramsey, yeah? I think that's a spelling mistake. You know, I think that is the same General, Roger Ramey, that was responsible for the covert at Roswell. Because every time there was a covert required, there you go, there was Roger Ramey involved.
Ramsey?
So that's a spelling mistake. It's not, it's not Ramsey. They put an S in where there shouldn't be. It's the same guy.
Is it? Let's find out.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure of it. That would be interesting.
Oh, that's the thing I noticed. I thought it was going to be the same 1947 memo guy.
Yeah.
Air Force UFO. Let's see what it comes up with.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. It's got Ramsey here. Wallace. Ramsey Wallace. Scott Ramsey. So
that's definitely he's a researcher. He covered the Aztec crash, 1948.
Each name shown up here on this page we're looking at. Mysterious Universe.
So it could be a different. Yeah, it could be a different guy, couldn't it?
Yeah, I think it might be a different guy. So the other one was Ramy, was it?
Yeah. Just without the S, that's all.
Ram. Are you sure? 1947 memo. I can't remember now. Ramy.
Oh
yeah.
You found it.
Yep. two different guys then. So we got a picture of this Roger one. Actually, have we got a picture of either of them? Let's see.
Yeah, I've got a picture of Jamie hanging on my wall here. Well, it's on the big one.
Oh, right.
Yeah, holding up the wreckage of the weather balloon. For a quick toilet break, Paul.
Who was holding up the wreckage? That one you're talking about. Let's see. Robert's always going to the toilet. I don't know what he drinks. General Roger. That's always sounds like the same guy. Ramsey though. Ramsey, that's really crazy. Roger Ramsey. Don't know, it could be the same guy. Director of Operations. I wonder if we can find any information on that guy. Could it be two different guys? Slightly different spelling. Well, that's interesting because it does say they've both got the same first name, General Roger M. Ramey, right? And this one's called Roger Ramsey, of Director of Operations. Here we go. Roger Ramsey net worth. He can't still be alive. That's got to be someone else. Yeah.
It's got to be someone else.
Yeah. Probably some rich banker. Anyway, we'll just carry on. So, which one? That wasn't Ramsey here, was it?
Yes, I think so.
Ramey, I mean. Was that Ramey?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. That was, Marshall or someone, wasn't it? Holding up the wreckage.
I thought it was Marcel as the guy on the right-hand side.
Because
that's Ramey there because he's got the memo in his hand, you see.
Yeah, but the memo's signed by Ramey.
But it's Ramey holding it. That's why it's known as the Ramey memo.
Yeah, sure. I thought it was someone else.
Yeah.
Let me find out.
They started that deep scan on the memo, yeah? The one he's holding there.
Well, let's see. Roger Ramey.
Take the S out.
I didn't take the S out. Ramey. I should put General in front on that one, shouldn't we? General.
Yeah.
There we go.
Would help.
Different guy, isn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Oh, it's not. It's him, okay. See, it's circled the memo there in that one.
Okay.
Him, okay.
I just want a photograph of the names underneath. Oh no, not day after Roswell, is it? The UFO dossier.
It's Ken Randall's blog.
Where's one that puts? Well, we could do a reverse. We could do a reverse search on it. Give us all the places that use it, and that'd probably be a few million websites, I'd say. Oh, only 25 million. Oh, actually, it's not million. 25 billion pages. The General Ramey photos on. That's just ridiculous. Image. How can we find out the name on image though? I didn't think it was him in the photograph. Why would he be holding his... Why would he be holding his own memo in his hand, though?
It was a slip, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I don't understand why he'd have his own memo, you see? I thought it was someone else in the picture.
I think that the memo was addressed to him, wasn't it, Paul? It wasn't written by him.
No, it was signed to Rami at the end. Remember I did the analysis on it? Remember the...
Okay, then.
Yeah, Brigadier, what's it say here? General. Okay. Let's come up with this one here.
I don't know why you want to pick Job in.
Well, what's this guy over here then? Maybe that's the other...
I don't know. I don't think that's Marcel. I can't remember that guy's name now.
What's it say here? General Rami and Colonel Du Rose.
Oh, Dubois.
Ah. Because I remember there was De Rosa in the memo decryption, and I thought, was that a place name? But I didn't realise it was actually another, talking about this other guy. Oh, that's the other guy.
Well, he was the one who claimed to have been witness to one of the bodies, the alien bodies in the Roswell crash. So, yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
He came out with a story after Marcel had told his.
Yeah, and let me just see if I can find my episode on this, because...
He was interviewed by Don Smith, Stanton Friedman, and Kevin Randall down the years.
The HD scan of the memo again. I'll just post it down here. I think it said Du Rossi in the writing. Let's see.
Oh.
Sorry? D. Rose. I don't... You cut out again. I'm not sure what you were saying. Let's see if I can get to where I try and decode it. I think there was something about Rose. Rosella. No, it wasn't that one then. So they were saying, where I've got on the other series by Ryan Sprague, they were saying this was victims, but I can't see how that's victims myself. But I couldn't get access to their HD quality things, you know. But I worked it out on the viewing of the gathered bits connected to the disc at Fort Worth, Texas. Part in the disc was taken away for further analysis. Something Roella. So it must be a place name there. Major. Looks like Mayor. Major. And I couldn't work out what that was there. I said maybe reality. CV. A bit hard to tell, but it looks like a V there, definitely. CV story, cover story. Some abbreviation for the paper.
Haven't you covered this in another live, though?
Yeah, but I'm just going over it since we brought it up. They may used weather balloons, something more, sea and land service crews. And it says here Rami at the end here, although it's a bit hard to tell. But it's I think it's signed it actually. RAMAY. Signed at the end. So that's why I thought maybe it wasn't him holding it. I thought it was the other guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course we figured that out now. That's cool. But yeah, if anyone wants to watch that and have... If we can get hold of the proper new scan of the negative, I might be able to do even better job. Yeah. So we got 2 watching. Who's out there? Come and join us in the side chat. So yeah, what else did we want to cover?
Yeah, I just want to go over one more thing before we leave the Washington case.
Right. And have you got a
And
link
that was
for
about Edward Ruppelt.
it? Okay, is it
Oh,
a readout thing?
No. Yeah, I'm just going off the top of my head now, Paul. Yeah, with Edward Ruppelt now, the top guy of.
Okay, let me get a picture of him up since you're going to talk about him. Edward.
R-U double P. Double P.
Yeah.
E-L-T.
Ruppelt.
There you go. Yeah.
Mind you, there might be a load of those in. Edward J. Is that him?
If you want a picture, you'd be better off typing that into Google Images, aren't you?
There it is, yeah. Edward J.
Yeah, that's him.
He was in the doco that we had read out before. So we'll just bring him up. Yeah. Born in 1923 and died in 1960, is it? He didn't live very long. That's pretty short life.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's it always goes down UFO law as highly suspicious.
37 years old. What did he die of then? Yes. Involvement in Project Blue Book. Not a car crash by a drunk driver, was it?
Heart attack.
Where does it say that?
No, it was that, Paul.
I thought it might say here. It would have normally, wouldn't it? Early life. Here we go. With Blue Book. After Blue Book. Oh no. Doesn't say about his death. Normally it has a death bit, doesn't it? Hang on. Let's see. After Royal Report released Army service. Was called back to active military. No, it doesn't say. Kind of crazy. Heart attack, eh? Okay. 37. Heart attack. Unbelievable.
Wait there. Do you want me to just tell you what happened exactly?
Mm-hmm.
Leading up to that.
All right.
Okay. After he left Blue Book, he wrote a book. It was called The Report on Unidentified Flying Objects.
Yeah.
He coined the phrase UFOs, 1952. That's where it came from, Edward Ruppelt. So up until then, they were, it was known as flying saucers, and that was it.
Oh, right.
So he coined that phrase, and he wrote this book, which is controversial at the time.
Yeah.
And it went against the grain because in the book he makes a good case that UFOs are a reality. And shortly after he wrote the book, he had a heart attack at 35, and he survived that one.
Right.
Then he started contracting for the CIA, and he rewrote the book. Well, to be technical about it, he rewrote the last 2 chapters of the book. In a complete turnaround, he said there's no hope for UFOs. So someone had got to him. So shortly after he wrote the second edition, he died of a second heart attack at 37. And it's one of those that's always going to be, because it's quite easy to induce a heart attack, and a very young man as well. And his troubles only started after he wrote the original book, The Report on Unidentified Flying Objects. Just saying, could have been coincidence, I don't know.
Oh, you conspiracy theorist.
I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, so was Hynek involved in that case at all?
Yeah, of course he was. He was the chief scientist all the way through, wasn't he?
Blue Book. So I don't see any pictures of him here with the guy. Unless it's on this one.
With Hynek. He's got to be with him somewhere.
I would have thought it would be on that one. Well, that's after the press conference, wasn't it? Okay. Who else we got? Well, let's type their both names in. Alan Hynek. Let's see if we can get a picture of both of them. I got this one here.
Oh God, that's the Blue Book
TV series. Yeah, it's meant to be a new season coming, from what I heard today on Open Minds
definitely.
Radio. Did you have a listen to the Open Minds Radio today?
Oh no, I don't think I could bear it, to be honest.
It was hard going.
Yeah.
He was talking about how they were getting to Congress and the car broke down. And
I'll give it a listen anyway.
He was giving a big plug for Corbell and all his favourite people. Who else was
Oh God.
Who was else in the list? To the Stars, the usual people that he keeps promoting. And he says, everyone hassles me. You'll listen to it and you'll be going, oh God, Roadhouse. People probably don't know about the Open Minds channel, but you can find it on YouTube there. And there's one where he talks about Congress for this year. I suppose it's already started now, hasn't it? So yes, so I can't see any pictures of them together here. Kind of strange. So there's Hynek there. But you'd think there'd be a mugshot, him talking to the guy. So yeah, he's the one that coined UFOs, huh? Amazing. Okay, so where do you want to go from here now, Robert? On to the next UFO case?
Do you want to go on to Colares then? I've got notes everywhere here. Huh.
Okay, so this event occurred in Brazil, over here, South America. If you don't know where it is.
The Colares is a group of islands.
Is it a group of islands?
Yeah.
I can't see islands here.
Looks like it there, doesn't it?
Doesn't look like islands.
There
are some islands here, I guess. Where's the whole area, though? I thought it was this little bit up here. Well, let's put on satellite. Well, that's where it says Colares, unless there's two places.
Yeah, it could be just like a cop.
But
could be Naples.
I did get some pictures up here. Well, they've got it up here as well. You said it's a group of islands, so I'm not really seeing islands. You can see.
Are we in the right place?
Yep, Brazil.
Okay. You might need to be real close up to see that they're actually islands.
Brazil.
Yeah. Can you get right up close to them, Paul?
I can't really see islands, but I suppose you could say these little bits out the side here are all islands.
Yeah.
I suppose it is islands. There's a lot of rivers breaking it all up, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a lot of rivers, right? State of Pará, Brazil. Is that the place? Have we got the right location? Couldn't be two places.
I imagine so.
Can't imagine two places. You said it's islands, so I suppose technically they are looking like islands. What's that one? A sea inlet? River outlet? So, what's the actual city name? I mean, town name, where that girl got attacked. This one here.
Well, there was several, wasn't there?
So this is in 1977 and 78, it says here. Fenomeno. Was that the place name or what? Brazil. Don't know if we got any. You got a web link that you want me to punch up?
Yeah, just a second.
Well, it does look like the right place on the map. Attack in Para, it's called. Brazil discloses details of the 8-month UFO attack in Para. Colares. Oh, is that maybe what I spelled wrong? Colares? Is it Colares or Colares?
Yeah, Colares.
You're saying it's AR? Because they've got it spelled here OR.
Oh, it's Colares.
That's not what's spelt there. Are you seeing what's on the screen? That's definitely wrong.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the same. I don't understand that one, Paul.
But it is part of what I said it was before.
It'd be the Brazilian spelling as opposed to the English spelling.
Could be. So, UFO disclosure.
Left a link here. I'm leaving a link there now.
Okay, so I could leave that one
Posted
open.
that.
And I'll go with your ones, and you're going to present it? Or
Well, just get the read on it. I don't know what to make of this case, you know. I'm not really sure it's UFO related or not.
Really? All the books you got, and you're still not sure? Okay.
No, I'm not sure.
Oh, it's long.
I think it could have been some kind of black project, you know. But having said that, that doesn't even quite fit in either. I don't know.
Yep.
Well, you know. Okay. You got the link, nice one.
So you want me to read it out?
If you can do some of that, please. Yeah.
It's got that big S in front, though. So it have to be om times. It doesn't pick up the first letter.
Okay.
Om times referred to as the Colares Islands invasion, the events which began in the summer of 1977 and would result in an official Brazilian Air Force operation that would stretch into 1978 is one of the most intense waves of UFO activity ever witnessed. During the several months of the incident, hundreds of encounters would take place. And while the vast majority were tied together with the same piece of string, each would also seemingly offer a new detail for UFO investigators, many of whom had ventured to the region, most before the military arrived there.
So what's these images here we got?
Okay, they're footage of the objects that were captured by military photographers.
Not the most impressive ones, are they, for 1977?
No.
That one almost looks like a long exposure one there. That one looks like, up the top here, looks like a deflated weather balloon. Look, you can even see the package at the end here, right? Let's see if I can zoom in.
Could be.
That looks like a sensor at the bottom. Deflated helium balloon.
Got these Tic Tacs objects to the left.
I think that one there could be the moon, a picture of the moon, and someone's moved the camera at the last minute and it's created a streak.
Motion blur.
These ones, hard to know. Again, could be long exposure or motion blur.
I don't suppose that they've released the best photographs, would they?
No.
These are military.
So I'm not too sure, but these ones
The
here,
community's there.
these ones here could be just bright lights, you know.
So overexposed.
Yep. Okay, so we'll read out the next bit, shall we?
Yeah, it's quite a long article, but it's a good one. It's the best one.
While the military would admit to several significant injuries to some of the residents of the island, some researchers would go further, suggesting there were even deaths. There was even talk among some researchers in the UFO community that over 400 people had their blood sucked out by the strange UFOs. It is a case that for a moment in time off the coast of Brazil, at least for those involved, appeared as though the aliens really were invading. And with dire consequences no less.
Okay, so how did the UFO suck blood from them? Hey, you're broken up.
Well, they actually, they
Yeah, you're breaking up. Why are you breaking up now?
don't know.
I can't hear you. Yep, so carry
Can you hear
on.
me now?
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
It does crackle.
Yeah.
Maybe you moved and knocked something. I don't know. You got the dodgy connection, haven't you?
I've got a bit of a crackle coming from you as well. Not much.
A crackle from me. Yeah, we'll carry on. What were you saying?
They actually tested the hemoglobin levels in the blood of a lot of the people, and they were way down, you know. So I don't know. It's bizarre in the extreme.
Yeah, but how did the UFO suck blood? Because normally they abduct them and put things in.
Remember, these are very, very superstitious race of people, aren't they? In that part of the world.
Well, religious.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not only that, not just religious. Lots of superstition, lots of legend, lots of folklore. So it's all part of their culture there.
Did we read out that book? Oh, no, we didn't, did we? Oh, sure we did. Sucking blood. So we need to go further down. Looks like there's a big panel coming up here.
You can skip past that.
The Colares Island incident is truly an encounter that would appear to be of prime importance to the UFO and alien question, and one that may very well turn out to be other activities altogether, ones that managed to hide behind the clamour for proof of extraterrestrial life, and why it was seemingly attacking unsuspecting residents of the fishing villages of northern Brazil.
So they're saying it's an island here, so is it really an island?
Even though it was narrowly separated from the mainland, so...
Well, I suppose it's got a river going right around, right?
Yeah. Well, it's an inlet from the sea, isn't it?
Is that really an island, though? I wouldn't call it island. I'd call it island if it was surrounded by sea, but river? Cutting it off?
It's an inlet from the sea, so technically speaking...
Well, let's see if we get something different. Islands, it's not liking that one. Brazil. Where is island? Come on. Oh, there you go. It's gone out to sea there. Hang on, that can't be an island out there. There's nothing there. Doesn't make sense. State of thing. Island. It's called El de Colares. That must be the Spanish name. So yeah, it looks like it must be because it's cut off by a river. They call it an island. Oh well, carry on. Let's clear that up. So read out the murky and deadly beginnings.
The 1977 Colares Island incident, a case study first published February the 3rd, 2019, last updated February the 9th, 2019, written by Marcus Loth. Estimated reading time 17 minutes. Posted in editorials sometimes referred to as the Colares Islands invasion, the events which began in the summer of 1977 and would result in an official Brazilian Merc.
Okay, there we go. Have I got it this time? I just want that bit. Okay, try that again.
the murky and deadly beginnings. We have examined one of the sightings of the Colares Island incidents briefly before the bizarre encounter of Benedito Campos and Sylvia Marie from late October 1977, so we will not go into it in depth here other than to briefly mention the specifics of the incident, as it would prove to be typical of many of the encounters that would take place. That evening, late on the 29th of October, as the husband and his pregnant wife relaxed in their living room, following the sudden arrival of a disc-like craft outside of their window, a green laser surged through the window and paralyzing the pair. What's more, two strange entities would then enter their property. Only an alert neighbor saved the couple from further incident when he chased the creatures away with his shotgun. Incidentally, both would recover, but Benedito would suffer from strange bouts of depression for weeks after. The case would attract the interest of several UFO researchers. However, while this account is one of the better known, it was simply one of many sightings taking place on the island at the time. And what's more, they began much sooner, right the way back in late April. In fact, while such accounts of similar Chipa entities can be found sporadically throughout Brazilian 20th century history, the date of the 26th of April 1977 is largely regarded as the date the phenomenon became more aggressive. That night, shortly after midnight, 4 fishermen sat in their small boat near Iladuscaranga's Island of Crabs. Suddenly, an intense light approached them and settled upon the boat. According to the report, the incident would result in 2 of the fishermen receiving substantial injuries, while a third would even die. From this incident, events and activity would build increasingly significantly.
Okay. So we're talking about a green laser, was it?
Yeah.
Where was it now?
Yeah, you have to remember as well that these people are simple folk. You know, they're just fishermen and farmers. I suppose it'd make an ideal kind of target for some kind of black project. As nefarious as that sounds, I don't know. But then again, there's talk of beings and all kinds.
So, green laser surged through the window and paralyzing the pair.
Yeah.
And more strange entities would then enter their property. So how did the blood get taken from them, though? So they're obviously seeing entities, right? Chase the entities away. You don't scare UFO abductors away that easily, do you? Green laser beams. How many laser beams come from UFOs then? What colours?
There's been lots of reports of people being struck by beams of light of some kind.
Yeah, but
these are making burn marks.
Yeah,
circular burn marks.
Yeah, but normally it's white beam, isn't it? Not a green beam.
Yeah, true enough. That's why the whole thing's so bizarre.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see whether there was any data collection on colours of beams from UFOs. Maybe. UFOs. Can't see anything here popping up. I've heard of white beam, but not. I've heard of coloured lights, but not a beam of red or blue. Playing a giant beam of light is time traveling. UFO.
Come on, that's the Daily Express now, Paul.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get far better if you use DuckDuckGo rather than Google, you know. Especially when
here
you're
we go.
on things.
Here we go.
Photos.
We've got green rays here, and white ET is not coming to Christmas.
Hold on, is this relating to the same incident? Well, no, it won't be.
No, I was just trying to find any other cases that talked about a green beam. Well, let's just type in. Shame we haven't got a decent database where you can search properly. MUFON's a bit of undercut one. Actually, we might be able to find some on UFO Stalker. You can type in green bean up here. But the thing is, nowadays we've got the laser pointers, which are green, red, and blue, aren't they? So, green bean. Let's see, did any come up with green bean? With a green bean and bright white light objects emitted. There you go. This year. Huge beam of light in the sky with disc-shaped objects. So I should really go through more of these MUFON cases. 4 bright objects, smaller green one, fluorescent green ball emitting same colour beams in my direction. There you go. So there's still, that's 1989.
Mm-hmm.
So there are other reports for green beams, right? With green and white flashing bright lights. So there's a couple there. Here's another one here. 2017. Glowing orb came from the east, turned west at treetops, emitted several green beams to the ground, then took off straight up. And we got 5 more pages there. Be interesting to go through some of those sometime, but not now. So yeah, so green bean might be something that's been around for a while then. So we'll go to the next part here. An isolated region. Oh right, what did the... Went to the fisherman, one got killed, was it? Recapping that.
Yeah, there's at least a handful of people who allegedly died. Something was going on for the military to be called in.
Well, I guess it's stressful, so it's more prone to have heart attack, right? So if you're an older fisherman, you're under stress. He would state. Okay, ends there, I think. I'll just read out that bit.
An isolated region with precarious communications. The Iladuska Rangijos incident was only the first of many around the Colares Islands region. However, in an age before the internet, with the region already isolated somewhat and with precarious communications, most of the reports remained local. However, local or not, they would steadily continue. By June, several newspapers from outside the region were beginning to pick up on the accounts. Even more so throughout July and August of 1977. They would state, for example, how the strange aerial sightings were causing suspense and panic among the population of the Colares Island. They would describe an unidentified device that would stun them with a light jet and then remove their blood. Furthermore, several strange Y-shaped crafts with a flame at the bottom had been seen by thousands of people. It would conclude that local residents dare not leave their homes in the evenings in case one of these strange UFOs, which emits a luminous jet of great heat that burns the skin of those it targets, should pick them as their next victim. One of the areas particularly affected with heavy sightings was the town Pinheiro. So much so, that the mayor, Minakopeva, would contact the Aeronautics Command in Sao Luis seeking advice on how to avoid a widespread panic. He would state,
So, emits a luminous gel of great heat that burns the skin. What would the gel be used for, though, from a UFO? So, we've heard about jelly, haven't we? Space jelly. But there's a space jelly. They reckon it comes from asteroids. Space jelly. Let's see if we can find it. Star jelly. Sorry. What is star jelly? Also called. Don't expect me to say that. We'll just get it to read out. So could it be the same stuff? I don't know.
Star jelly, also called astromyxin. Astral jelly is a gelatinous substance sometimes found on grass or even on branches of trees. 1. According to folklore, it is deposited on the earth during meteor showers. Star jelly is described as a translucent or greyish-white gelatin that tends to evaporate shortly after having fallen. Explanations have ranged from the materials being the remains of frogs, toads, or worms, to the byproducts of cyanobacteria, to the paranormal. 2, 3, 4, 5 reports of the substance date back to the 14th century and have continued to the present day.
Okay. There was a jelly substance that fell on a town in America. I can't remember what it's called now. Which caused a flu-type symptom. That actually made people very sick. So, and when they analysed the jelly, it actually had some unusual cell structure to it. Can you hit the like button there? See if the likes are working on this counter still. I suppose we've got 10 dislikes by now for the trolls.
Yeah. we got one. We got one dislike.
Well,
One downvote.
Have we got any likes though? Because it's not going up.
Yeah, I just put one up.
Oh, we'll see if it happens. Here we go. Have we got some pictures? It doesn't really look like jelly though. That looks like dog vomit. On 11th November 1846, a luminous object estimated at 4 feet in diameter fell at Lowell, New York, leaving behind a heap of foul-smelling luminous jelly that disappeared quickly, according to that. So I don't think that's when people got sick, though. 1950, 4 Philadelphia policemen recorded the history of a domed disc of crystalline jelly, 6 feet in diameter, 1 foot thick at the center, and an inch or two near the edge. When they tried to pick up, it dissolved into odorless, sticky scum. The incident inspired the 1958 movie The Blob. Okay, and we got one here. August 1979, Sybil Christian of Frisco, Texas, reported the discovery of several purple blobs of goo on her front yard, following a Perseid meteorite shower. Follow-up investigation by reporters and Assistant Director of Fort Worth Museum of Science and History discovered a battery processing plant outside the town where caustic soda was used to clean impurities from the lead in the batteries, resulting in a purplish compound as a byproduct. The report was greeted with some skepticism, however, as the compounds at the processing plant were solid, whereas the blobs on Christian's lawn were gelatinous. Others, however, have pointed out that the Christian had tried to clear them off her lawn with a garden hose. Okay, in December 1983, greyish-white, oily gelatin fell on North Reading, Massachusetts, finding it on the lawn, on the streets and sidewalks from gas station and dropping onto gas station pumps. Kind of weird. Star jelly was found on various Scottish hills. 2009. Star jelly was found on the fells around the Wolf. I don't know how you say that one. That's the place there. Northern England.
Oh, Ulswater.
Ulswater.
It's in Lake District.
Blue balls of jelly rained down on a man's garden in Dorset. Seems to like UK a bit there. Upon further analysis, these proved to be sodium, also known as waterlock, a sodium salt of polyatic acid. What that is. a kind of super absorbent polymer with a variety of common, including agricultural uses. So they're saying on the news tonight that even Arctic the snow that falls down is actually full of plastic particles. Did you hear that today?
I never know.
Yeah, they're saying it on the news tonight. They said it's the most polluted place with plastic. So you can't even melt down the ice and drink it without having plastic particles in it. Kind of scary. So that could explain some of the jelly stuff. It could be plastic waste that's even back in those days, right? Just blowing off one continent into the air and then coming down as snow or rain.
That's just not one incident, is it? You've got several things happening all at the same time. So, unless you're going to try and write each one off individually as something logical, which is a bit of a push, the best thing to do is get back to the case.
Yeah, but I noticed here, it's all different colours as well. But none of it talked about burning skin. But if it's caustic soda, right, that could explain why they got the burns. That's what I'm trying to refer to there as a possible debunk. Maybe, like most UFO accounts that happen, it could be multiple events that happen, not the same event. You know what I mean? So what else do you want to read here? Does it not emit any sound? What's that saying there?
Well, we need to get to the end of the original article that I put up for you, yeah?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at, mate.
Got it, yeah? Okay.
That's what I was looking at.
The burns we need to be looking at more than anything else. I would imagine they're the most commonly reported.
Many people fishing on boats were chased by the fireball. Left many people sick. They had a fever and their eyes were burning. UFO light was so strong that night looked. So it sounds like multiple incidents. It doesn't sound like all the same sort of thing at the same time.
Yeah, and what happened in over 8 months?
Yeah. So let's carry on with the reading.
The Gurupi phase sightings. There are several, almost forgotten about reports of sightings of these strange aerial, blood-sucking craft from the month of July. These are largely thanks to the work of UFO researcher Daniel Bissogis, who has researched the Tshirt case extensively. Many of the sightings around this time would unfold in the Gurupi River area, leading Gs to refer to them as the Gurupi phase sightings. For example, a report in a journal the Bahia newspaper on the 12th of July 1977 would report that a flying object emitting strong light was sucking blood from the population. They would also report on a genuine fear of the local residents who feared they might be the next victim of the vampire-like light. The report would also state that 2 local men had died as a result of the bizarre blood-sucking glows. It would also become apparent to the local population during these sightings that flames, fires, and even something as small as a lit cigarette would attract the attention of these deadly glowing objects. One particular incident that would stand out took place on a farm in the Pinheiro region. At the insistence of the owner of the farm, a group of 26 workers remained erecting fences long into the night. One of the workers would take a trip to the nearby river in order to fish so as to provide dinner for everyone once the work was finished. As he stood on the riverbank, a blue-white glowing light appeared in the sky overhead. Immediately scared, he dropped all of his possessions and ran back to the group. As he did so, the strange object followed him, casting its blue glow to the ground below. The group watched as the craft hovered for around 45 minutes before moving away.
And no one got it on video. Are you still there? You got your headset on? You keep going to the toilet, is it? Robert, where are you going?
Oh, okay, I'm back.
I didn't know you went. You keep going to the toilet, do you?
I'm sorry, I didn't want to disturb you because it was reading out.
Okay. So they're talking about the blood being sucked here.
Yeah.
26 workers remained erecting fences. One of the workers would take a trip to the nearby river in order to fish for dinner. So yes, it's multiple objects, different descriptions of objects. Kind of makes it a really messy case, really, doesn't it? Flying object emitting strong light. So they said here it hovered for 45 minutes. That's quite a long time for no one to get a decent video of it. There must be some video out there, surely. Because we looked at those ones above there, and they were just crappy lights, overexposed lights pictures.
Well, remember now, they're the military ones, aren't they? So they'd have kept the best, no doubt. As for the people, the populace there were just fishermen and farmers, so they're not going to be carrying around high-tech cameras even in 1977.
I guess not.
I doubt if they could afford to own a camera.
Yeah, but if it's hovering for 45 minutes, you've probably got enough time to get home, come back and film it.
Yeah. That's if you've got a camera in the first place, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how poor they are.
Oh, yeah. If they had to catch fish to feed themselves, then obviously not too many stores around, was there?
It is a remote island, I guess, part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's...
sparsely populated as well.
Just read out the rest of it here.
Sightings experienced by 90% of the local population. Several days later, 41-year-old Joe Barrows, along with two friends, was fishing in a river near the Sao Bento region. It was around 1 a.m. when a suddenly appearing glowing object appeared in front of the boat. It was glowing red in the middle, but a light blue-green on the outer edges. The glowing orb-like craft would pass close to their boat and disappear. Barrows, however, whose back was to the glow as it passed, suffered intense burning pains in his back for several days following. A similar encounter took place in nearby Matador Olimpio. That evening after dark, Antonio Olimpio would leave his house and cross his yard to use the outside toilet. As he made his way there, however, a glowing red object appeared overhead. Immediately terrified due to the reports, he turned and ran back to the house screaming for his wife. Before he could reach the door, he fell to the ground. His wife, by now at the doorway due to her husband's cries for help, reached out to him and pulled him back inside the house. As she did so, however, he could feel an intense burning on his back, arms, and legs. The burning sensation would last for the rest of the evening despite constant compresses of cold water applied by his wife. That the incidents were becoming increasingly regular was obvious to anyone who spent even a short time in the area at that time. One television reporter, Sinaldo Oliveira, would state in his report,
about 90% of the people we talked to had seen UFOs. A lot of fishermen got burned. They were not serious burns, but the men were so afraid they did not want to go out to work. So, yeah, what are you saying?
Yeah, most of the burns were circular and small, with a dot in the middle. That was consistent. With plenty more of that article, Paul.
Yeah, we're working through it bit by bit, mate.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
I think the reader might get to a maximum reader. We'll have to switch to another reader. 5,000 characters. I think we're probably getting up to a few thousand already. Burn max. Hang on. Burn max. See if that comes up. UFO. Okay, images. That's not Brazil. That's that stupid Falcon Lake one.
That's Falcon Lake.
Waffle Man, as I call him. Yeah, that's not the Brazil one. That's terrible search in Google. Yeah, it comes up normal here. Burn marks and puncture wounds here, it says. But we've got no images. Maybe if you just reduce it a wee bit. Oh, here we go. That looks more like the one we're looking at. So what's that one there? Oh, those are the pictures. It's got a collection of everything, but it looks like it. Pictures of aliens. I suppose that's more to come. There's a burn mark there. Let's see what opens up. See if we can get a better picture of it. Looks like it's a Russian site. So this is the one that we always come back to, is this scale here.
Yeah.
That looks like that's a puncture mark, that looks like. It's a bit hard to tell though. Have we got any captions? No. There's those stupid ones. Now what's that one there? What was that? Talking about at the end there. And we got the pictures of some drawings of the sources. So at least they did draw some pictures then. Can you make head or tell what it's saying though? It's pretty bad, isn't it?
I don't think it's in luminous. That's all I can read there. Looks as if it's in Portuguese as well, so that's not going to really help.
Oh yeah, that's probably why I can't understand it.
Yeah, that would be.
And we got some pictures of aliens here. They call it the flap here as well. UFO flap. Outbreak. Yeah. What else we got? Oh, there's that one. That might be a better image. Not really. Okay, keep going. What's that one there? What is that? That's a funny looking UFO. Looks like it's got two people in it. Looks like a tin can. Is that the same one? It looks like the same writing. Okay, what else we got? Got that one there. Similar to the other drawings, I guess. Looks like it's from the same thing. Oh, that crazy zoom. What else we got? Not really much, really. Thought there'd be a lot more pictures on this case. What's that one there? That looks like a boomerang one.
There's no consistency to it, is there?
No, it's all over the place. What's that? What's this one here? That one looks like a balloon. A little flashing light underneath.
You could say it's more classic saucer shape, can you?
Oh well. Apart from that woman, that's all we see on that one. So, why did he get burns on the back of his arms and legs? Did it shoot a beam of light at him?
Was he running away? I don't know.
Was it radiation? Turned and ran back to the house.
Don't think there was any radiation poisoning mentioned.
I just wonder why
We've gone over this, Paul.
Yeah, I just wonder how he got burnt though. Was it a beam of light? The green beam of light? They didn't actually say, did it? So, on to the next bit. You're quite right, it's really big. Why is it not scrolling properly?
The traumatic encounter of Alfredo Marx Saul's, one of the most brutal encounters, took place in mid-July in the Sahara region. One evening, farm worker Alfredo Marx Saul's was walking to his friend's house nearby when he felt a sudden pain on the back of his leg. He turned around and immediately noticed a glowing yellow-white object. He felt a pulling sensation and, at the same time, realized he couldn't move his leg. Alfredo would cling to the post of a fence near to where he stood. All the while, waves of intense heat, then cold, then heat again would wash over him, as if emanating from the strange craft. The light was also so intense that for the most part he would keep his eyes completely shut lest in case it blinded him. Then, the craft's grip appeared to loosen a little. Almost instinctively, he let go of the post and ran, his leg in pain but under his control. He would take shelter under a cashew tree and watched as the strange object ascended high into the sky and disappeared. Deciding to cancel his planned trip, he would head back home to properly examine his leg. When he did so, he was shocked to see it was bruised in the extreme. In fact, it was almost black, as if completely burned. The following day his leg was worse, full of blisters and apparent fast-developing infections. Furthermore, he was racked with intense stomach and back pains and for several days would suffer from intense diarrhea. Although he would eventually recover, he would require crutches to walk for almost 3 months following the incident. As traumatic as Saul's encounter was, several days earlier an encounter of a closer kind would take place.
But it didn't say what grabbed him. Was it a beam of light or ETs? So we got a picture here.
And the thing is, it's quite difficult for European researchers to get out there and get to the bottom. But you've got to have a translator, unless someone's, fluent in Portuguese. And yeah, could have been cut. This case could have been covered better.
Definitely. Little known abduction.
It's abduction accounts as well. You see, it's just crazy. I don't know what to do it.
Yeah, mixed bag, all right.
Little-known alien abduction accounts of the Colares Island incident. Perhaps accounts even less spoken of are those of apparent alien abduction that would take place within the chaos of the wave of encounters. At 1 a.m. in the early hours of the 10th of July 1977, Jose Benedito Baja would set off from his house in order to catch a bus. Before he even reached the bus stop, however, his evening would take a drastic turn. As he walked along the path, he noticed a brightly glowing blue-green object hovering in the middle of the road in front of him. Baja watched the glowing object for several seconds before a strange beam of light emerged from it in his direction. The next thing he knew, he was in a strange room that was unfamiliar to him. All around him were several small creatures apparently going about their business. Then, several of these creatures grabbed him and moved him to another strange destination. Before he knew what was happening, however, he was waking up laying on the ground. It was morning, around 8:30 a.m., several miles away in São Luís. He had an intense pain running down the right side of his body. However, he would slowly make his way back home to Pinheiro. He would remain in pain and would walk with some difficulty for several weeks following the encounter. Just where he had been and who had taken him there, however, remains a mystery. His encounter is unlikely to be unique to the region during this time. One thing worth mentioning, though, is an apparent mystery cure of his partial sight and difficulty hearing. Shortly after the incident, he would realize his sight and hearing had returned to full working order.
Of course, the problem with Brazil for me, though, is a lot of fakes and hoaxes come out of Brazil, it's never ending. And Peru, and also Mexico. So,
excitable people.
Yeah, but a lot of them create forgeries for publicity. Maybe they can sell it to newspapers, release balloons and whatnot. try and get, or some of them like, yeah, some of them like the fame as well. They like to get on the Haimi Mazan TV network. The Bay of the Sun phase sightings. So what's this one? It doesn't give us a time stamp on these. So, says August here. So is this one twice?
August, yeah. So that's August 1977 then. So there we go.
July. So it is going in date order. That was July, the previous one. Yeah. Obviously need a little chart, really.
The Bay of the Sun phase sightings. As August began, the sightings and incidents began to increase, and would ultimately lead to the involvement of the Brazilian military. Many of these sightings began to move to the Salgado region. And once more, they were almost identical to those witnessed in the Gurpi River area throughout July. A strange light that would appear far away one moment, and then close up the next. These were usually followed by a paralyzing light beam which would also cause intense pain. This is where we begin to get further details from the accounts. While in the control of the initial laser beam, another beam would emerge from the beam itself and hit the witness on a part of their body such as their leg or arm. Local reports would state that it was through this secondary beam where these strange entities took the person's blood. The panic in the local population was palpable and would lead to another mayor, this time of the town of Vigia, Jose Ilden Favgosoero, publicly declaring,
Okay, so what does he declare? The people were terrified because this beam of nightlight had already assaulted several people. The whole community was packed in only 3 houses praying, sometimes singing some religious songs. Yeah, that sounds like Brazil. Many of the sightings in this region and during these last weeks of August and early September would meet tragic ends. At least, according to local reports, one 45-year-old woman was attacked by these strange glowing lights, would die only 8 hours later. Another fatality occurred when a fisherman came across the glowing orbs while on his boat. He would deteriorate and pass away several days later. Glowing orbs.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, how many glowing
Something
orbs?
happened there.
How many glowing orbs was it though? Could it be ball lightning that they're talking about here?
I don't think so.
We don't know how big they are. Whether it's like
This is it. See, it's all too vague for my liking. But
yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, something's happened. The military were called in. They were there for several months, weren't they?
Now they're talking about the
going.
goat sucker. So this is when did how long's the goat sucker been around? Was that when it first started?
This is like the chupa chupa, and there's the chupacabra as well. That's the goat sucker, the chupacabra, I think.
I think it's the same thing. Blood sucker, goat sucker.
No, I don't think it is. Don't think it is. It's 2 different words. But anyway,
Cooper.
I'm not an expert in Portuguese.
Cooper. When was the first goat sucker recorded in South America? I wonder if it will tell us. It's a lot of words there. Here we go. Goat sucker. First reported in Puerto Rico in the mid-90s. So that's way after this blood-sucking UFO case. So could something have been left behind by the UFOs is my thinking there.
See that? It's Chupacabra, Wikipedia.
Chupacabra, yeah. Well, bloodsucker, goat sucker. Is it the same thing?
Oh,
Okay. But that's after the incident in 78, so at least we know that much. And what's it come up with that on that? That's not it. It's talking about lollipops there. So it's not giving us anything on that one. Just the goat sucker. And anyway, we'll just carry on. So, there are bats that do land on people and make a wound, and you don't feel it on you, and that sucks blood. Bats.
By the time September was unfolding, the Colares Islands were becoming inundated with such strange sightings. Talk of the Chippa Chippa had suddenly become rampant among the locals. Most encounters were extremely similar. Luminous objects would appear in the skies overhead and at increasingly low altitude. They would often fire green rays of light which would paralyze or render the person unconscious. Most bizarrely, people would often find strange markings on their body and have the genuine belief that the UFO, whatever it was, had removed a significant amount of their blood. One particular sighting was that of 44-year-old fisherman Manoel Joao de Oliveira who, along with several colleagues, would witness an umbrella-shaped object hovering over the Rio Novo beach as they walked towards their fishing boats. There was no sound coming from the strange craft. Then, a strange white light shot out from the craft's underside, and the object moved away from the witnesses. Wherever you turned, a local would have an account to tell. For example, Sebastião Vanek Miranda would state,
Okay, was he state? I was there with my wife, Palmara, in front of the church on the seafront when about 8 p.m. we saw an intensely vivid orange light coming in from the sea towards the town, and it approached, it climbed, and then moving rapidly vanished towards the inner part of the island. Okay. On another occasion, 3 women were hit in the chest by the strange beams as they walked home. This would cause all 3 tremendous nervous tension as well as constant electric shocks. And of course that would be in Spanish there, I guess, on the report. Increasing number of bizarre accounts. So we're on to the next bit here. And we're only sort of halfway down, are we? I think we're going to run out of speech processor. I've selected it all there.
Increasing number of bizarre accounts. Perhaps an even more bizarre encounter is that of 49-year-old Carlos Cardoso de Paula. He would state that he was smoking a cigarette in his hammock when a ball of fire came out of nowhere and burst into his home. He would state that this strange ball then went round and round the room. It would finally come to a rest on his leg. He would state, "Then I started to feel feeble and sleepy. My cigarette fell from my hand and I came to and let out a yell. As he screamed out due to the pain of the dropped cigarette, the glowing ball vanished from the room." He would state his belief that the orb was searching for a vein in my body, but was unsuccessful. Raymond O'Costulet, a well-respected fishing net repairman, would also have a strange encounter with these mysterious lights. At around 4 a.m. one morning, he and his friend, Bixinho, real name, Arivaldo Malaquias Pinheiro, were fishing on the Cajueiro beach. Suddenly his friend exclaimed, "There it is," and promptly ran off in fear. When Raymondo looked up, he could see an object, roughly the size of a helicopter, but which made no sound whatsoever. As he watched, a type of searchlight emerged from the craft and began to make sweeping motions of the beach. He would describe the light as bluish, sort of cold, which illuminated the ground underneath it. Suddenly, Overcome with fear, he turned and ran towards his friend. They would manage to avoid detection and the craft continued inland away from them. Around the same time as the above account, another encounter would unfold. What makes this one stand out is the claim of occupants inside the glowing craft.
I think we saw a picture of that before. Yeah, so it sounded like ball lightning when it started reading there, but then he said it landed on his leg.
Yeah. So, you know, people say it, ball lightning, ball lightning. There's no good evidence even for ball lightning, you know.
So what are they? Interdimensional orbs that come in? They actually feed on blood?
Good God, I have no idea.
Well, you should have some theories there, Robert. Let's see.
Oh, have you got any? It's just so confusing and bizarre.
Well, it could be, I don't know, misidentified something, rather. It could be maybe some sort of critter that glows, could it be, in the jungle there? A swarm of them, maybe, like you know, how you get mosquitoes. Maybe they were sort of like some creature that they didn't. Yeah.
I think the locals would know. Their wildlife, you know.
Not if it's let's say that some sort of earthquake happened and it opened up a cave system that had these prehistoric bugs in it that glowed, you know, a bit like.
God, I think aliens is more likely than that.
No, but South America, they're still They're still discovering species there, and of course we're losing species all the time. I'm just throwing out some ideas here. You may laugh at it. You may laugh at it, but that's the way my mind thinks, you know.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the whole incident, to be honest, because I don't think anything really adds up when you put it all together. You know, the burns, the abductions, the occupant sightings, these glowing objects. Some of them were disc-shaped or typical, or like hamburger-shaped. Oh, I don't know. It's beyond me.
Yeah.
It happened over such a long period of time as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't going away any time fast, was it? 8 months.
Yep. What else? So we could say it's unknown species that somehow come from a cave that got opened up. It could be interdimensional beings that's come from another dimension that's above our physical layer, and
that's as good as any.
Yeah, or it could be some alien probe that wants to take samples to take it back to the mothership, which then flies back to the home planet with the samples. So yeah, as you can see, I can come up with a lot of suggestions. Apart from that, I can't think of anything else apart from ball lightning, which they said it feels like it was trying to suck blood out of them. So who knows? Let's carry on.
Let's just go down to that bit. Okay.
We'll get to it in a minute. See if a reader keeps on going.
The occupant sighting of Claude Murapigzao on the evening of the 18th of October 1977. Claude Murapigzao would witness the apparent Chippa Chippa herself. However, what made her encounter stand out from the plethora of the region was her claim to witness occupants inside the craft. She would claim to wake one evening with a bizarre green glow washing over her house. As she became fully awake, the light turned a red color. It was then she noticed that the light was touching her face. She would later state.
Okay, so what's she state here? Eyesight's not very good, so I'll see if I can get it read out. I'll see if I can get the other one to read out this one here.
I'll read that one out for you if you like.
Right, if you want. I was just going to try the other reader. Yep, carry on.
Okay, I could see a creature like a man wearing a jumpsuit, like a dive. A jumpsuit like a dive. I think it's meant to mean diver's suits, you know.
Yeah,
diver.
Yeah.
Jumpsuit like a diver. He pointed at He pointed it at me, and the object shone 3 times, striking my chest during the 3 occasions, almost in the same place. It was hot. It wounded me. It seemed that I had needles pierced at all 3 points. I was terrified that I could not move my legs. So he had paralysis from it then. Heard that a lot before from these types of encounters.
Well, we've heard very common in the abduction cases is the 3 dots in a triangle. If you look up abduction cases with the 3 puncture holes.
And the paralysis as well.
Yeah, abduction. 3 scoop marks, they call it. That's triangle. See if it comes up anyway. Let's see if we get some images. Here we go. 3 marks here. See if I can zoom in better. It's very faint though, but there you can see definitely 3 marks in a triangle. These are all different abduction cases. That one's got 4. They got a bit greedy on that one. That one's got 3 on the hand. That one's got a circle of them. And that one's got a line of them. So yeah, it's a bit hard to know. Is that all we got? I thought we had some more. Alright, here we go. That's it. It looks it. Hey, look who popped up there. Mr. Earl Grey from MUFON. So this sounds very similar to what they're saying here back in the 70s. So just carry on. I'll see if I can get the American guy to talk. I think it's that one there.
Following the incident, she would suffer from severe headaches as well as a general feeling of weakness for several days. She also discovered burn marks on her chest. Even stranger, these marks were 3 small circles in a triangular shape. She would later state, upon looking at the burn marks, that it was hot and it hurt. It was like a needle stick.
So that's what we looked at with the other abduction cases, which are modern ones, obviously.
Here's the military intervention. This should be interesting.
Okay, we'll see if the English guy can keep reading it out.
Okay.
And here comes that woman one as well, so we'll find out more about her.
Military intervention operation played such was the activity taking place that by late October 1977 the Brazilian Air Force would install the Regional Air Command, Comando Aéreo Regional, on the island.
Oh, it's said we've reached our limit. You've reached the 20-minute daily limit. Oh, we only got 20 minutes now. There used to be a 5,000 character limit.
Oh.
Insert your credit card here. Yeah, so we're gonna have to get the American guy now to switch over. Unfortunately, it's not as good, I don't think. Here we go.
Military intervention operation played such was the activity taking place that by late October 1977 the Brazilian Air Force would install the Regional Air Command, Comando Aéreo Regional, on the island. And what's more, they would soon put into action Operation Played, Operação Prado. The person in charge of directing the military's research was Captain Colares Bolivar Soares Naguar de Holanda Lima. Their presence would, at least in part, prove to be a great benefit to the residents of the Colares Islands. They would, for example, offer psychological assistance to those suffering the after effects of sightings and encounters. They would also, and perhaps more importantly to UFO research, obtain hundreds of pictures of these strange crafts, as well as 4 separate video films of the strange activity. They would, according to locals in the region, place several technical devices along the beachfront. The military personnel were shocked at the bizarre showings. For example, reports would marvel how the brightness of the lights were more akin to illuminations at major sporting events. They would also state that these lights were always sharply defined and directed with perfect precision towards any target. In fact, even the military's own helicopters were subject to these bizarre lights. On one occasion, a military helicopter was forced to the ground. There is no official explanation available. One local resident, though, Alba Camaravillena, claimed to have witnessed the incident. She would claim to have noticed a strange craft in the sky, round and all luminous. A moment later, a military helicopter approached it. She would continue.
Okay. There we saw the UFO direct a very powerful being onto the helicopter, obliging it to land. What's that saying?
Obliging it to land in San Pedro Airfield, Sao Pedro Airfield.
Right. So it didn't actually shoot it down or anything.
No. It kind of forced it down. One thing for certain, though, the military group would approach the unfolding events with the utmost seriousness.
So have we got any information on this picture again? Just her name, which I can't pronounce. Okay.
So look at the name again. I can't see it from here.
It's a very small one. I'll see if I can get it to say it.
Claude Amira Paixão.
I don't think that's how you say it. Can you see it now? It's very small print. Claude Damaria Paixão. Sorry if we're munting it. We always munt names here. Okay, and read on to the next one.
There was a foreigner among them. Professor Raimundo Sebastião Aranha would claim that the military's interest in the sightings was very real and serious. At the time of the sightings, for example, he would receive numerous requests for information regarding the legends of the Chupachup. He would further recall that they had numerous, perhaps even excessive amounts of armor and equipment with them. These ranged from radio transmitters, cameras, video cameras, and specialist glasses, to military cars, tanks, and helicopters. He would also state, rather cryptically, that he suspected there was a foreigner among them. While he didn't elaborate further, it wouldn't be that much of a stretch of the imagination to suggest this foreign presence was an American one.
It's strange. So there must be video footage of these, this Brazilian UFO flap. You'd think we only seen crappy pictures, right? Did you find any videos of it at all? When you researched it?
I've got a. I don't know if you want to have a look at this.
Yeah. YouTube, is it?
Yeah. It's only a part of one. So
Yeah, you're cutting out
this
there.
is here. Okay.
You're cutting out on this. So you posted it, have you?
Got to do it now.
Well, we might do it later. I'll just read out some more of this here. But we're getting near the end.
The operation would run until January 1978. During that time, as well as the photographs and video footage of the incidents, they would interview hundreds of residents regarding their encounters. Perhaps most interesting, especially when we consider that a higher percentage of UFO sightings than not appear near large bodies of water were the reports from residents and soldiers alike who would claim to witness these strange crafts diving into or coming out of waters of nearby Marajo Bay. Although their presence in the region would end in January, the investigation would last a further 4 months until May 1978. And even then, it would carry on in a private capacity. Incidentally, the Brazilian military would make their findings classified. It wasn't until 2005 when through Freedom of Information requests that the full documents were released to the public. Among details suppressed was that many victims did suffer severe burns and there were at least 2 deaths. This figure remains hotly debated. It was Holland's view that the office were taking blood samples, evidence that the cover-up was in motion, although the military presence would leave in January 1978. The encounters would continue deep into the year. For example, in May of that year, a journalist and photographer were in the area following up the encounters for a story. This particular evening, the heavy rain pouring down, they would awake to a powerful beam of light. Furthermore, this light would pass through the metallic structure of the roof of the vehicle. Each of them would jump out of the car to see what was happening. They could each see a tube-shaped light beam. It was around 25 centimeters in diameter. One of the pair would later recall.
Okay. And it was coming down from above onto the roof of the car and passed through the metal paneling. On the other occasion, the UFO emitted such a vivid beam of light that it smashed the windscreen. So, definitely sounds like they're being attacked, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. One of those rare cases where UFOs have been related to, personal attacks, which makes me think maybe it wasn't UFOs at all. Maybe it was some country's black project, some kind of testing.
Could be. Laser weapon.
Because, and it's what an ideal place to do it as well, on a simple fishing farming area where, there was no internet, there was no real means of communication to the mainland as such. I don't know, but it doesn't explain all of it, does it?
Oh, you skeptic, you.
Yeah.
So where did we get to? At least on the ground. Alright, so we're carrying on here. Interview. Oh, it goes on a bit, doesn't it? We're getting near the end. You weren't wrong about it being
it was the most comprehensive article that I could find, rather than pull up bits and pieces here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're going up to 2.5 hours, and I think we've had 27 people drop by, but only 2 watching. Yeah, so obviously it's not too. I don't remember too many people talking about this particular UFO incident, though. It's not very common on the UFO channels.
No, it's not.
So we're probably
because so little people know. You see.
Yeah, we're probably the only one that spent so much time on this one.
I don't remember anyone else giving it.
Despite the continued sightings, the wider the accounts became known, the more stories began to emerge that the sightings were nothing more than weather balloons or secret satellites. These reports were met with anger from local residents who had been terrorized for almost a year by these suddenly increased sightings. UFO researchers would also dismiss these findings, especially those who had already spent considerable time studying the phenomena. It would seem to them that a cover-up was already in motion. And it would seem when we examine the comments of the person in charge of the military operation at least on the ground 20 years later. The interview with Captain Aranj Bolivar Soares Naguira de Holland Alima. Perhaps one of the places to wrap up our look at this most remarkable incident would be an interview that Captain Holland would give almost exactly 20 years following the incidents to UFO. Researchers Jose Gebaherd and Marco Antonio Petty. He would state that he first approached the incident wanting to find a rational explanation for the sightings. And furthermore, from an Air Force perspective, if there was something of danger in the skies, the military would need to know. In the beginning, he would recall, all I wanted was confirmation the events were happening. However, almost immediately they began to witness the bizarre events. He would state that one of the first things they noticed was how the ratio of victims out of every 10 people was 8-2 in favor of the women of the village. Furthermore, women would sustain injuries from the strange beams on the breast. Men, on the other hand, on the arms. Whether these notes are of consequence or not is open to debate. Holland would state that despite the wealth of accounts and his own sightings, extraterrestrial activity still wasn't top of his list of possibilities. Of the woman's account, Holland would state,
that does almost sound like a military experiment, doesn't it, with the burning? Maybe 78. What was 78? Wasn't that Vietnam War? That 77, 78?
So yeah, they were pulled out around 78, Paul.
Ah, were they? Because
Yeah.
napalm, or whatever it's called. So that was jelly type stuff that sticks to the skin and burns, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it was awful stuff. Yeah.
Because they were talking about jelly stuff before that burns, right? So it sounds almost like another experiment, war experiment, secret one.
This is it. That's what I thought all along about this case.
But it could be like a mix thing, right? Could it be like some military drones that they drop jelly from to see if they can kill off people with it, or cause mass panic or something like that, you know?
Well, it certainly worked. That was the
or maybe hallucinations. If you create hallucinations and if you drop it on troops, say, to cause hallucinations, then you can defeat them very quickly, couldn't you?
That's what I mean. The whole thing sounds like something of MK Ultra, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. So what have we got here? The rest of the thing here. Oh, we lost another watcher, did we?
Yeah. We got no one left now.
Laying in the net, she saw that the roofing tiles had started to become colored. After that, they changed to transparent and she could see through the roof. It was as if the roofing tiles had turned into glass. She saw the sky and even the stars.
So that there sounds like a typical alien grey abduction where the beam of light goes on the house and makes it into jelly or transparentness, right?
Yeah.
To me, I don't know. It could be multiple events, you know.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, all the cards are on the table here, aren't they, with this one?
And it was over a whole period, like a year. January, wasn't it? The first one all the way to...
I think it was April of 77, all the way through to January of 78.
Okay. So we got this other link here with videos you're talking about. Always put studio in. You know, it might be something to do with that I'm logged in.
Yeah.
So it puts
No way you can get rid of that thing.
It never used to come up. There's something new to do with the side chat thing, I think. So what's this? So I'll just pause it. It's got some music on it, so we better be careful of that one. History Channel. Oh yeah. Bang bang bang.
Oh, heck.
Oh heck yes. That's going to be, you know, a copy playing. But yeah, what's in it? Do you know?
Yeah, the testimony of one of the nurses. That's all. It was quite interesting, you know.
Right. Yeah. We could probably go with it, I suppose. Auto 24 bits. That's pretty cool. Poor quality. Might just reduce it down, that one. And we got no captions with it either, which is interesting. So what part does she talk in it? Oh, is this the one with the picture? The girl.
Só quem viu a minha marca.
The only ones who saw my mark were people from the Air Force. They saw the mark.
No, that's the guy.
The sightings continue throughout the next 4 months. Captain Hollanda's team is busy collecting information from witnesses and town officials. Their surveillance equipment is in use 24 hours a day. But the Air Force does not release their findings to the public.
I think I can remember this on TV, actually.
Yeah.
Those who think that Operation
when I
Saucer...
went to look for stuff that was on this incident, there used to be lots of it, you know. But the cupboard was fairly bare when I was looking the other day for today's live, you know.
Yeah.
will help determine the truth or disappoint.
So they got these old-fashioned cameras that we looked at the very beginning in 1978. So obviously the military had it.
Instead, some believe a cover-up has already begun.
Well, where's the footage, you know? Someone's got it. But if it's a cover-up, then it could be a military exercise, you see, or some experiment that wasn't... they didn't care about the island being infected or killed off, right? So it makes sense. It's like some of those conspiracy ones that come out in America with the LSD ones. They experimented on the troops. Sounds very similar. But using...
I've got it past them, can you?
Yeah. Oh, this is from the series UFO Files, right?
October 1977, the strange occurrences on the island of Colares have caused the Brazilian Air Force to investigate. Residents claim that UFOs have attacked them with powerful beams of light. Some people develop strange burn marks on their skin after the encounters.
So that's a better picture than we had before. That kind of looks like a smallpox thing, though, doesn't it?
Vaccination, yeah.
Yeah.
2 women have even died. The Air Force's project Operation Saucer, under the leadership of Captain Urangue Hollanda, is gathering information on the mysterious sightings.
The military did not take weapons to Colares. Their weapons were cameras. Lots of cameras.
Over a 4-month period, Hollanda and his team take photos and make sketches.
Yeah, we've seen those pictures.
So,
although we didn't see this one here. Let's zoom in.
don't be dead.
That one looks like a balloon. That one looks like a balloon that's dripping chemicals onto people. It's a bit hard to read it though, isn't it? So let's go back to the other ones.
It's going to be in Portuguese again, isn't it?
Yeah, we saw that one before. Just
and make sketches.
Saw that one. What was that last one here?
I didn't see that.
Is that
how is that a drone?
Or was it a land map with roads? I don't know. Is that a picture of a craft? I don't know.
It is a craft.
These are their actual drawings.
So this is a strange one. I said with the beans inside. It looks like a tin can with was that a light at the bottom maybe? A cylinder type one.
They also conduct interviews with the residents, including Dr. Valaidi Carvalho. She has treated dozens of patients who claim they have been attacked. Initially, the doctor is skeptical about their stories, but soon she experiences a UFO sighting herself. It is around 6 o'clock. Carvalho is returning home from her shift at the local healthcare unit and sees a woman faint.
I looked up, and that which I had denied, that I didn't believe in, that I thought was the product of delirium, craziness, made-up stories, people wanting attention, I saw the object at the height of approximately a 10-story building.
The object is cylindrical. Carvalho suddenly feels paralyzed by what she is seeing.
It didn't have the color of stainless steel, or the color of silver, or the color of anything else. It had its own color.
I keep looking at that woman thinking it's Chase from MUFON. She looks very similar.
Oh, God. Yeah.
So she was saying the cylinder object was, what, 10 stories high?
Yeah. Now it's sounding a bit more UFO-like again, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's very strange.
And it moved in elliptical movements. It was directly over my head, making elliptical movements and coming back again.
According to statements from witnesses, at this exact time, the Air Force picks up a signal on the radar his men have set up on a nearby beach. As the team scrambles to focus their telescopes and cameras, the object disappears.
It turned toward the bay and headed out to sea.
Hollanda and his team continue their surveillance on Colares. They collect over 500 photographs and 15 hours of film, showing what appeared to them to be bright lights high in the sky.
And yet we don't get to see any of that video.
The reports from the investigation are sent back to Comar headquarters in the nation's capital of Brasilia.
The Air Force really delved into the investigation. They had to give some kind of an answer to the people that were having these encounters. And I'm certain that it came as a surprise that the military men from the Air Force themselves began having their own encounters, their own experiences.
And that's only a clip from the UFO Files series.
Yeah. It'll actually go on now to the next part of it, you know, but...
Oh, does it? Oh, they're breaking it up, have they?
I believe so, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was better. But...
Yeah, what, the next one? Or that one?
I'm not sure now.
Actually, it says video is blocked in my country here.
Oh, okay. I could watch it. Strange.
There's a whole playlist. Private video. Private video. Obviously, they got copyright strikes on it, right? Slide your credit card in here. That's the problem with the UFO field. Everyone's after money, you know. History Channel series was actually quite good. But it's quite old now. What was that one uploaded? 2009. 10 years ago.
Published in 2009, yeah, so it could have been earlier than that.
This guy
quite a lot earlier, maybe.
This guy didn't get too many subs, so he got suppressed for copyright material, probably. Because playing a clip like this and not adding your own thoughts on it. But yeah, that's quite a lot of footage they took there, it said, and we can't find it. So what was the last part of this thing here? Talking about the left breast.
When asked how common such bizarre accounts as these were, he would reply, "Very common. And it scared me a lot." He would continue that the woman would claim to see a green light in the sky. Then, a red light emerging downward towards her left breast. Captain Holland's strange patterns in attacks and the suicide of Captain Holland. This last detail was another that would strike Holland about the incident. How it was always the left breast of a woman, or the left arm or leg that the beam would target. This is an interesting observation. If we accept that the reason for these attacks on the residents of the Colares Islands was to obtain blood from their victims, does the left-hand side of the attacks match with location of heart on the left side of the body? He would further reveal that while military doctors would examine, record, and analyze the burns and wounds, they would not treat them. Some of the victims would recover relatively quickly, while others would take much longer to do so. All who came into contact with these strange glowing crafts, however, would suffer some form of illness. Perhaps his next statement is one that suggests some kind of secret government projects. He would claim that.
Of course, we're going to read that bit out. Are you still there?
Yeah.
It seems that the nature of this light was that of a very strong energy that left people paralyzed. I believe that the federal authorities were informed of this type of attack on human beings that were happening in the region, but I am unaware of any tests. I only receive orders from my commander. Nothing more.
So they're saying a beam of light would come down from the UFO and always be on the left breast of the woman that leaves the mark, which looks like a smallpox injection. Unless they had technology back in 78 for military to shoot a beam of light down and inject people with viruses. I don't know. We haven't seen it today, as that would be quite handy. Maybe instead of using needles all the time. I know they're trying to make molecules smaller and smaller and get it through the skin layer of the thing, so it's like Star Trek. They're trying to do that with insulin. It's quite a big molecule apparently, and it won't go through the skin. So people have what they call insulin pumps, where it actually puts little needles into the skin, which looks very similar to that smallpox thing. And it injects it through the skin that way, through these microscopic needles, and it monitors your sugar levels and injects more insulin when it needs to, or something like that. Is what they're working on. But the insulin pumps, I think they just inject small amounts every predefined timing. Insulin pumps. Remember there was a hacker, a New Zealand hacker, that managed to hack the firmware and could inject insulin into people through remote control. And if you inject too much insulin, your sugar levels drop suddenly, and you pretty much drop dead. You basically, all your sugar that makes the machinery of the brain work stops functioning. And if you get, that's why you got to be careful of not going too low with insulin. Insulin pump. So that guy managed to hack the firmware of it via wireless, and then it just goes on the top of the arm, I think. Obviously, they've got ones that go on the body here as well. Like, is that the insulin pump? Not very big now. America's got the best thing. New Zealand doesn't even offer us anything like that. We've got to inject it ourselves. They've got ones for the arm. Was it? I thought they had one like a jogger band that goes around the top of your arm. But it looks like they put it right over the pancreas, is it? Or looks like it. The kidneys. Microscopic needles, pumps it in. Because if you're a kid, right, and you're putting a lot of injections and it gets very sore, you get very tender, and you also get these lumps underneath your skin after years of injections. Hard lumps where it doesn't dissolve it very
Oh, God, yeah, I know all about that, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a few people that I knew that were injecting,
Yeah.
And they've all had issues.
and the kids get very sensitive to it. There's certain areas that happen. I do it every day. Certain areas on your belly which gets very sensitive, and you can't put the needle in it, so you have to find some new place to put it. Spread it around. But do you think all the money they spend on all the money they spend on wars, all the money they spend on wars, they could have solved it by now, probably. Trillions and trillions. How much was spent on the Middle East war? That's a good question, actually.
I'm thinking about
how much money was wasted. Spent on Middle East war. See, people don't even think about the cost of war. That comes out your tax money. Here you go. US has spent 5.9 trillion on Middle East since 2001. That's just crazy amount of money, isn't it? Did the US really spend 7 trillion on Middle East war? So obviously, there's various different ones coming up. Study US spent 5.6. So what's this one here? That's a lot of money. US has spent 2 trillion on Middle East. Well, that's way below par. So what's your thing? So it's added up since the war, 2001.
I mean, that's only what we're seeing as well, isn't
it? I suppose it's from their budgets. Well, reckons it's 13.5 trillion here on the war and terror.
That's only between a 4-year period.
Yeah.
Oh no, Soviet wasn't, was it?
So it's even more money than what we thought it was. So how much would? Because I know Trump wants to. He said he wants to spend money to rid AIDS, which you don't hear all the positive things. Of course, you only hear the negative things. So how much money cost to what do you call it? Rid diabetes? Well, cure diabetes, I suppose. Let's see what they reckon on that one. Does it tell us here? Lifetime cost. Cost of diabetes. Talking about diabetes, I think my eyesight's going because my sugar levels is dropping. I think I'm going to have to eat something in a minute.
And we've wrapped it up, Paul. I'm starving as well.
Yeah. Well, we're near the end here almost. But yeah, I thought maybe I could find it. How much? Alright, we'll see. Money. Well, it's an interesting question because there must be someone that can give us a ballpark how much it would cost. NHS spending on diabetes to reach 19 billion by 2035. And when you're talking about trillions of dollars on war,
that's just the UK, isn't it?
Yeah, that's just nothing, you know. It's billions of dollars. And when you're talking about trillions on war crimes, dropping bombs on people. Anyway, looks like we can't find out that one. But I think Bill Gates said diabetes could be cured with $2 trillion, I think it was. Which is only a drop in the bucket if you look at the war costs anyway. The nature was very strong. Whereabouts did we get to? Extra. So that's the last bit, is it? And we both need to get something to eat.
Yeah.
Is that the end of it? Hang on. I'm just trying to get it and it keeps scrolling up. Stop. We'll read that bit there.
Extraterrestrial biochemical research or top-secret military experiments? So, what should we make of these bizarre encounters of 1977 and 1978? And, if the researchers who believed that Holland's death was a case of murder and not suicide are correct, what does that tell us of the reach and importance of the case? Was this wave one of extraterrestrial visitors taking samples of blood from the local population? And if so, why was there an apparent focus on female blood samples? Might this tie in with the claims of some that such alien encounters and abduction events are geared towards a hybridization project involving human and alien DNA? Or might the events have been a military experiment? One that went ahead under the guise of a bizarre UFO attack? Perhaps this would then give the military unit the perfect cover they required to set up a presence on the island? This would, in theory, enable them to continue their experimentation from the ground. And what should we make of the foreign presence in the military unit? Might this have been a foreign in terms of non-military? Or might it mean exactly what it sounds like? That a foreign national was present within the otherwise Brazilian military unit? Whatever did take place, whether military or extraterrestrial in nature, the attacks were very much pre-planned and purposeful. Even down to the apparent attempt to attack many of their victims while they slept. Furthermore, although there was no solid proof of the removal of blood, tests would indicate such activity when they showed lower levels of hemoglobin in the hemogram of those attacked. Check out the video below. It looks at the incident once more and features several of the photographs of the military.
I reckon that would be the History Channel one, wouldn't it? So that also ties into cattle mutilation cases as well. But there's also human mutilation cases that happened since. So when was
Don't mention that. Yeah, there has been incidences.
So when was the first cattle mutilation?
They just started. I think actually they've gone back right through history, you know, but it really took off in the late 60s, 70s, I believe.
So way before this UFO flap then. I was just trying to find when it happened, but it's not popping up. You were in the 60s.
Yeah, sort of same,
yeah. I just wonder if it happened after this event, so it would tie in, would not. Can't see anything.
They're still happening. They're still happening to this day, aren't they?
Yeah, so they say, but I reckon.
Yeah.
But what's that guy's name? Chris O'Brien. He did a good thing on Martin Willis' show.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't like Linda Moulton Howe at all. There's a big fight. I think I posted it on my Twitter feed. The fight. What he was saying about her wasn't very nice. And he said only 5 cattle mutilations were really suspect. They were cut with a laser or scalpel or something like that. And he thinks that they were dropped from back of trucks, maybe helicopters, because all the bones are broken in one of the cattle. But he thinks it might be a secret black ops, not our government are doing. Maybe because there was maybe a leak of a virus from a lab that went out into population, and they were just checking to see if it had spread. But I don't know.
BCSC as well, mad cow disease. So
yeah, it could be related. Yeah. But yeah, when was the first one reported? It's one about.
You think they'd just be able to buy up some cattle and test them, wouldn't they?
Yeah, maybe. September 67. So it looks like that was the first one here, 67. You said 60s, didn't you? So
late 60s and through the 70s, yeah, and the 80s as well. They were
so there you
making
go.
news then.
But there's also human mutilation. So when did they happen? Human, which you don't really hear much about. Some of those are pretty nasty.
You want to put in UFO or something on the end there, because otherwise it's going to come up with all kinds of...
Hey, we were in sync then. Our minds were connected. Because as you saying it, I was typing it. Human mutilation didn't come up with anything, did it? Rich planet.
There is quite a lot on,
cover up, he reckons. Brazilian human. Here we go. So that's in Brazil. Is that where it first started in Brazil? I think it was, wasn't it? But they do have a lot of drug dealers down there that would carve up people, wouldn't they? So let's have a look at that one there. Might be some gory pitch. Oh, yeah. We don't want too much gory stuff. Oh. So, yeah, you don't know if that's aliens or not, or some nastiness from humans or serial killer or whatever. So that's all of it tonight. By the looks of it. We could wrap up now and go and get something to eat. I don't know if there was anything extra here. No. So we'll just wrap up there. I think that was a good night. I think we did stuff, and I'll cover that.
Yeah, if people got the patience to stay with us, and I think we covered it as well as we could.
Yeah, of course we knew it's going to be a lot of talking about it, rather than footage or pictures to go over. But yeah, I'll just end it up now, Robert. We had 37 drop by the looks of it. We'll see what the stats say in a minute. So anyone out there, please like and share. It really helps out the channel if you like what we do here. Hopefully we're bringing something new. We look at things slightly different. As you can see there, we're looking at all sorts of things in between, reading through all the different stuff there. So good night everybody, and please like and share. It's playing now. Okay, Robert, you can go if you want. I'll see you later.
See you later.
Okay, mate.